Okay, I think we're going to begin, and there will be members coming in and out of this hearing, which is unfortunately kind of typical when we kind of try to get 1,000 things done in a very, very short time. So I apologize for that, but I want to wish everyone a good afternoon. And today, the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission will examine an issue that has challenged the aid delivery and development community for decades, the immediate needs that must be met today and the development strategies that must be undertaken for long-term capacity building in Haiti. This hearing comes at a critical juncture not just for Haiti, but for how development work is undertaken around the world. As the world bears witness to the Ebola crisis in West Africa, it is clear that epidemics, including the cholera crisis in Haiti, can cripple weak public health systems with devastating consequences and profound geopolitical and economic implications. Following the earthquake of 2010, the international community promised to help Haiti to build back better. However, many Haitians today feel that this promise has not been upheld and are alienated by development processes that often lock them out of policy development. There is frustration that more progress and widespread development has not been achieved. This frustration has pushed those of us in the donor community to do some soul-searching and thinking about what lessons can be learned and what things can be done differently in the future. Among the things that I think we have learned is that local voices must have a stronger place in discussions about what development projects should be pursued. No one can better inform the donors about what is needed in a community than the community affected. In addition, we must ensure that the implementation of development and reconstruction programs is subject to public oversight in a way that ensures Haitians have opportunities to participate and are invested in the outcomes that emerge from development projects. The needs and wishes of the people are first in forging a sustainable reconstruction process with a more decentralized participatory framework and whose outcomes establish more social equality. Respect for human rights is fundamental to any long-term strategy. Breaking the country out of its dependency on foreign aid and bringing it out of deep, systematic poverty requires a rethinking of the relationship between economic security and human rights. 76% of the population earns less than the equivalent of $2 US a day, and 60% earn less than $1 a day. Attention to the economic situation of Haitians must consider gender equality targets in development goals, including by expanding programs beyond those that are focused on social and economic sectors traditionally dominated by men. Greater oversight and transparency are also critical. Over the last 5 years, too many of funds were directed into projects that had little oversight and no long-term strategy. Haiti already had weak public institutions before the earthquake, and afterwards there was even less to work with. But despite the temptation to do things ourselves, we must keep our eye on the long term and put resources into building local institutions and making those institutions accountable. The U.S. government's post-earthquake development plans to strengthen Haitian government institutions and increase their capacity are thus laudable and should serve as guiding principles for future plans. Further, in order to alleviate the great economic insecurity of the vast majority of Haitians, development must focus on more than one sector and be located within the broader context of good governance. Without addressing the ongoing political instability, we will not be able to address economic or social issues. This worsening constitutional crisis is unfortunately tied to aid discussions. If parliamentary elections in Haiti do not take place before January 12, 2015, President Martelly will begin to rule by decree, a shift in power that many experts believe looks likely. We must work with the Haitian Parliament and President Martelly to chart a course for free and fair elections to take place. The last thing anyone wants is rule by decree in Haiti. On the other hand, inaction in the Haitian Parliament has helped to lead to the current predicament. Escalating unrest could undo all of the development work and gains made since the 2010 earthquake. The Haitian private sector does not have the capital for development in Haiti, and it is becoming increasingly difficult for outside investors to open up shop as elections face further delay. Politics may be a zero-sum game, but development work is not. While the government must be accountable for this crisis, we also cannot make funding allocations strictly contingent on certain milestones. While the government itself is not permanent, State institutions themselves can last and will continue to need improvements. Further, the willingness of the government to bear a negative impact due to noncompliance has been proven time and time again. Rather, we must think of what kinds of carrots can be used to bring about the kind of actions needed for capacity building and what can be done to insulate development work from political uncertainty if this crisis is further exacerbated. In closing, I just want to use this time to consider lessons learned in Haiti and the development strategy today, almost 5 years after the earthquake. Not just what projects should be taken on or which regions should be prioritized, but looking at equality of opportunity, rights-based funding, and community participation. Human rights, basic human dignity, and development are intimately intertwined. It is this intersection between rights, capacity, and development that we hope to explore today to the advancement of each. I thank all those who are here today to participate in this hearing, and I want to thank them for their statements. Other members may be coming in and may have statements they want to give, we might kind of divert from the agenda here a little bit. But I'm very glad to welcome the State Department Special Coordinator for Haiti, Thomas Adams, and USAID's Assistant Administrator, Beth Hogan. They appeared together before the House Foreign Affairs Committee to testify on the effectiveness of U.S. aid for Haiti in October of last year, and I look forward to getting their thoughts today 1 year later. So Special Coordinator Thomas, welcome, and please begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you for the opportunity to appear before you with my colleague, Beth Hogan, to discuss the U.S. government's engagement with Haiti. I am particularly pleased to testify before this committee named in memory of Congressman Tom Lantos. I was fortunate to serve in Hungary in the years before the breakup of the Soviet Union and had the opportunity to work with a congressman then and in the following years as he advanced the cause of human rights in that part of the world. I welcome the chance to provide a brief overview of our efforts to date, to describe next steps, and to answer your questions. I will be brief in this opening statement and refer you to my longer written statement, which I would request be admitted for the record.
Without objection.
This hearing is very timely. January 12th marks the 5th anniversary of the earthquake that devastated Haiti in 2010. We all remember the horrific scenes of death and destruction from the largest urban disaster in modern times. If you visited Haiti in the immediate aftermath of the earthquake and returned today, you would see much progress. Practically every square inch of the Port-au-Prince landscape was covered with the internally displaced in the months after the earthquake. Today, the tent camps are largely gone, as well over 90% of the 1.5 million Haitians who at one time lived in them have moved to safer housing. The government of Haiti estimates that by mid-2015, all will be resettled elsewhere. The enormous amounts of rubble that were caused by the earthquake have also been removed, and the U.S. funded much of that effort. I have visited Haiti once or twice a month over the past 4 years, and on each visit I see steady progress in economic growth, job creation, health, and security. U.S. assistance had a measurable impact on these advances. Haiti has achieved positive economic growth in recent years, 2.8% in 2012, 4.3% last year, and is expected to have a growth rate of at least 3.6% this year. Exports are led by textiles, light manufacturing, and agriculture. U.S. agriculture programs have introduced improved seeds, fertilizers, and technologies to more than 70,000 farmers. The Caracol Industrial Park has created 5,000 jobs in Haiti's north and is on track to nearly double that amount in 2015. The U.S. Help and Hope Acts continue to generate job growth, particularly in the textile sector, which now directly employs some 36,000 Haitians, up from 27,000 in 2010, and which exports more than $800 million worth of clothing to the United States annually, up from $517 million in 2010. With U.S. assistance, basic health indicators show improvement, including child vaccination rates, infant and child mortality, HIV/AIDS rates, and modern contraception use. Cholera cases are down 97% since 2011. Haiti is stable, and the Haitian National Police is on track to reach its goal of 15,000 officers by the end of 2016. With assistance from the United States, the Haitian Police Academy has been training and graduating more than 1,000 new officers per year since the 2013 class. Overall crime rates in Haiti have declined, including kidnapping. The Haitian National Police's professionalism has increased greatly in specialized areas, including in its handling of demonstrations. In spite of these advances, Haiti remains fragile, with many challenges. High levels of pretrial detention remain that country's most serious human rights concern. Modernization and reform of Haiti's judicial sector have not matched the improvements in policing and need to be expedited. Political gridlock between Haiti's legislative and executive branches has delayed national and local elections for years, to the point where Parliament will, as you pointed out, Mr. Chairman, effectively go out of business in January. The continuing delay in scheduling long overdue elections is a serious concern, and while the points of dispute are ultimately for Haitians to resolve, the United States is following the matter closely. In our high-level interactions with Haitian government officials, political party leaders, and civil society, we have been urging all parties to continue efforts at constructive dialogue in order to build consensus on necessary measures to hold elections in a timely manner. In early October, Secretary Kerry spoke by telephone with President Martelly to discuss elections, and also met here in Washington with Prime Minister Lamotte. On October 30th, Councilor Tom Shannon and I traveled to Haiti to meet with government and political leaders, as well as the UN Special Representative in Haiti. The important point is that there is time now, between now and January, to resolve the electoral issues through dialogue and to develop a realistic schedule for elections. Our current focus is on supporting these efforts, and to be frank, I've done very little else for the past 2 or 3 weeks. Political gridlock will discourage much-needed foreign investment, and Haiti needs lots of things, as you know. What it needs most, though, is economic development and jobs. Donors are ready to support strengthening of government capacity and institutions to combat corruption, improve democracy, improve state revenues through better tax administration, reform and modernize the state electric company, and create a better business climate. But improvements in all these areas will honestly require a better partnership between all branches of Haiti's government. In closing, let me again signal the significant progress the people of Haiti have made from recovering from the earthquake. The support of the Congress, the administration, other donors, and the American people has greatly assisted the Haitian people in this hard work. But Haiti remains the poorest country in the hemisphere and will need assistance from the U.S. and other donors in years to come in order to advance its fragile post-earthquake progress. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And before we go to Ms. Hogan, I don't know whether we're joined by Congresswoman Lee and Congressman Conyers. I don't know if you want to have an opening statement.
Very briefly, Mr. Chair, let me thank yourself and Mr. Wolf in his absence for your tremendous leadership on this commission and your real commitment to bipartisan advocacy for human rights around the world. And unfortunately, I have to leave for another meeting, but I wanted to first thank our panelists very much, from the U.S. government and from the public health community, for being here today to share your expertise and to answer questions about the state of aid delivery in Haiti. The issues facing Haiti, which we all know, especially as they relate to international aid and health infrastructure, really deserves the full attention of Congress. Now, I'm pleased that my bill, it's the Assessing Progress in Haiti Act. This bill, supported by Congressman McGovern and Conyers, it garnered bipartisan and bicameral support during this Congress and was signed into law by President Obama. And so as the bill passed, though, the Senate and the House, it required the administration to come up with a 3-year Haiti strategy to identify challenges to economic growth and governmental institution, to outline policies and tools to help address these challenges, also benchmarks for assistance to Haiti. So I know that you're in the process of putting all of this together, but I hope that today we can learn more about what is taking place as it relates to the context of the implementation of the law. And if you don't have that for testimony today, I'd like to follow up with you, Mr. McGovern, to get that update and oversight piece in place as it relates to the law that was signed earlier this year. Thank you again so much for everything, and I'm pleased to hear that some progress is being made. Did you mention, excuse me, the elections in your testimony?
I did,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, and I'll read that. I just, rather than ask a question, I'll read your testimony. But once again, thank you again.
Mr. Conyers, do you want to add anything, or do you want to go on to the testimony?
I want to go into the testimony, but I did want to add just
Okay, good.
one little thing, Chairman McGovern, and join in with my dear colleague Barbara Lee for the wonderful work that she has been doing. I may have been one of the first to start going to this wonderful part of the Western Hemisphere. And I think that what we're doing here today is a continuation of the relationship that has to be developed even much deeper. And so I'll just put my statement into the record and look forward to us building on what we're doing here today. The Lantos committee hearing is critical, and there are a lot of good ideas that I know will come out of this, and I am very pleased to have the witnesses with us today, and I thank the chairman.
Thank you. And I want to thank Mr. Conyers and Ms. Lee for their leadership on this issue, but also on a whole range of human rights issues. And I appreciate them being here today. And Ms. Hogan, why don't we go to you? Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and to the distinguished members of the Commission. Thanks very much for the opportunity to talk to you today, to update you on USAID's development efforts in Haiti, where we're partnering to end extreme poverty and to promote resilient democratic institutions. 5 years after the earthquake, USAID's focus has shifted from emergency response to reconstruction and development. While this is a long-term endeavor, and while much remains to be done, as my State Department colleague has just mentioned, real progress is indeed being made. Nowhere is that more evident than in the agricultural sector. USAID's agricultural programs have introduced improved seeds, fertilizer, and new technologies to more than 70,000 farmers. These investments have doubled and tripled yields in focus crops, including rice, corn, beans, and plantains. Additionally, improved grafting techniques, mobile collection centers, and proper harvesting and packaging methods have helped to promote a 25% increase in the export of mangoes. You can now buy mangoes at Whole Foods, and they are superb, so you'll see for yourself. We're also helping Haitian businesses expand and create jobs. One example is a matching grant program that builds the capacity of small and medium enterprises and attracts foreign and diaspora investments to grow businesses, create jobs, and generate income. So far, we have invested in 28 small and medium-sized enterprises, leveraging close to $8 million in private capital. These grantees are creating more business opportunities in Haiti and providing important services. One of the program's notable recipients is Surtab, a Haitian Android tablet maker that has a monthly tablet production of 3,000 to 4,000 tablets. The impact of these tablets can already be seen in Haiti, particularly in the health sector, where USAID-funded community health workers are using Surtabs to improve case management and patient tracking. Another grantee, Haiti, treats and provides safe drinking water. Its business model is lowering costs, improving water quality, and delivering services that improve the convenience and access to potable water in poor communities. We also encourage private firms to bring their expertise and financial contribution to Haiti through public-private partnerships. Examples include partnering with Brana, a Heineken subsidiary, to increase sorghum crops, the Coca-Cola Company to improve mango production, and Digicel to improve mobile money services. Turning to the health sector, expanding access to reliable, quality health care has long been a core element of USAID assistance, and we are seeing results. A recent nationwide survey shows that between 2006 and 2012, childhood vaccinations increased, infant mortality decreased, and chronic malnutrition in children also decreased. It's important that these gains be sustained in the long term. To help achieve this, USAID is working with the Ministry of Health to advance its oversight of the public health system. Specifically, our program is helping the ministry to improve data collection and usage, upgrade internal management systems, manage donor funding, and improve its ability to attract, train, and retain professional health workers. We're also emphasizing site-level governance and accountability through an independent verification unit designed to increase transparency in finance management, as well as improve health outcomes. As we progress in these efforts with the Ministry of Health, both directly and in partnership with other donors, we'll continue to work to ensure access to health services is widely available through the approximately 164 health facilities that USAID currently supports. Across our portfolio, we value the input and feedback from a broad cross-section of Haitians in the design, delivery, and evaluation of our programs. This input helps us review progress and make mid-course corrections. In addition, USAID has internal procedures in place to better understand how well our programs are performing. These mechanisms include portfolio reviews, field visits, results tracking, performance audits, independent evaluations, and cost-benefit analyses. As a result of this regular feedback, we have adapted our programs based on lessons learned, as evidenced by important changes in our shelter, ports, and energy investments. For example, in the housing sector, we have shifted from building houses to housing finance, helping the private sector play a more prominent role in housing construction. We will soon launch a program that will provide incentives to encourage housing developers and housing finance providers to enter the affordable housing market. In addition, USAID is partnering with the American Red Cross and the government of Haiti on urban development in informal settlements around Port-au-Prince, and in particular, an informal settlement of 150,000 residents known as Canaan, Jerusalem. This emerging community is quickly becoming a permanent settlement and therefore one of the government's highest housing priorities. These partnerships include urban planning, promoting safe housing, building capacity of local entities to undertake more sustainable construction, and expanding services to meet citizen needs. In the port sector, we're redirecting port assistance to rehabilitation of the existing port at Cap Haitian to meet the near to medium-term demand for port services in the northern part of Haiti. Our research has showed that a new port would not be economically viable, hence this shift to rehabilitation of an existing port. We're also focusing our goals in the energy sector. USAID recognizes that a reliable and efficiently operated electricity sector is key to stimulating and accelerating economic growth. However, advancements in this sector have been slower than planned, and we have been disappointed with the reversal of progress, in some instances due to the political will or lack thereof, to carry out very tough-minded reforms. Going forward, our support will be tied to concrete progress in reforming the state electricity utility, as demonstrated by achieving unambiguous targets and milestones that we negotiate with the GOH. Our long-term goal is to see the Haitian government and Haitian civil society manage donor resources directly. However, we recognize that there are many challenges to achieve this goal. The pace of progress will depend, to a large extent, on action by the government of Haiti to carry out its planned reforms to create transparent, accountable, and effective state institutions. The Haitian government and parliament should also work together to pass legislation that will amend Haiti's severely outdated criminal procedures code. In addition to institutional and justice reforms, it's essential that the government of Haiti continue to promote respect for human rights and the protection of vulnerable populations. This includes addressing issues such as improving security, providing services to the victims of abuse, and empowering vulnerable population. The United States government, and USAID in particular, stands ready to assist the Haitian-led effort to achieve these ends. However, the most important step that can be taken right now by Haitian political actors is to reach an agreement that would ensure the holding of critical parliamentary and local elections. Elections are essential for Haiti to maintain its democratic course and to afford the stability necessary for investment, economic growth, and job creation. While we acknowledge these ongoing challenges, USAID is committed to providing long-term support to build Haiti's capacity to provide for its citizens. While the course of Haiti's future ultimately depends on Haitians themselves, we all know that Haitians possess great resilience, creativity, and a tremendous entrepreneurial spirit. When linked with capable and adequately resourced state institutions, Haiti's progress will accelerate toward a brighter, more prosperous country that all of its citizens so deeply deserve. I want to thank Congress for its generous support of our work in Haiti. And again, thank you for the opportunity to be with you today, and I look forward to your questions.
Well, thank you very much. I want to thank you both for your testimony and for your work. I'm going to yield to Ms. Lee from California first for a question.
Thank you very much, and I too want to thank you for your testimony and your steady and good work in spite of many challenges each and every day. A couple of questions I have. One is in terms of the whole issue of bilateral assistance versus multilateral, the lack of coordination among NGOs. I mean, I've heard this, and all of us have heard this over and over again, that by not engaging in bilateral assistance, the Haitian government does not have the necessary tools to coordinate the types of programs and technical assistance and services that are needed. So I'd just like an update on any movement toward any effort on bilateral assistance. That's the first question. The second one is, how is the Assessing Progress in Haiti Act being implemented? Whose jurisdiction does that fall within? Where in state is that happening in terms of the requirements of the law? Thank you again, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, let me take the first crack at that, Congresswoman Lee. And I did want to get back to answer I'll do that after I talk a little bit about donor coordination. Right after the earthquake, a donor mechanism was set up, the Interim Haiti Reconstruction Commission, to coordinate assistance. It was co-chaired by former President Clinton and then Prime Minister Jean-Max Bellerive. And it met formally once a month. It had a lifespan of 18 months, after which the coordination went to the Haitian government, the Ministry of Planning, and the Prime Minister is also the Minister of Planning there. And they've had several meetings, but they haven't provided the strong leadership coordination that we would have liked to see. They're increasing their capacity. The Ministry of Planning, we are supporting it to do this through USAID, and they're getting better at it, but they still have a long way to go. And we knew that going in. I mean, I think one factoid I'll throw out is you have Haiti, a country of 10 million people with about 55,000 government employees. You have the Dominican Republic next door, same population, 10 million, with 500,000 employees. So I think right there you can see the scale of difference in the capacity of the two governments there. A number of Haiti's best workers were working at 5 o'clock when the earthquake struck. Quitting time is usually 3:30, 4 o'clock. These were people who were working very hard. So they lost a lot of talented employees. And then in some ministries, diagnostics have been done that show that there are a lot of ghost workers, and they're addressing that. So the capacity needs to be growing, and we have seen that in several instances. The police, for example, I cited in my testimony. I think the Ministry of Health is another one where we've seen growth, and Beth might want to talk a little bit about that. Moving on to your legislation.
So let me just ask you,
Yeah.
do we do any bilateral assistance at all to Haiti?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I would just say that all of our the vast majority of our assistance to Haiti is in fact bilateral.
When did that change?
It's always been the case.
Government to government?
I'm
you're
sorry,
talking
we have a
G2G.
different definition of bilateral
No,
assistance.
government to, when do
No,
we
in fact-
provide any direct USAID funding to the ministries?
We have had a small effort with the Ministry of Finance to do that. It's a $10 million effort to stand up its contracting unit, and it's actually gone quite well. But we have limits as to how much we can give in government to government until these institutions are certified as qualified to track in an appropriate manner U.S. taxpayer funding. And none of these institutions have yet made that mark. However, with the Ministry of Health, we're working with the World Bank to try to get them to that point by which they can receive direct assistance. And so we're looking at helping them with their health information systems, their hiring systems, their procurement systems, to get them to the part, and in particular, of course, their financial management systems, in hopes that they will be pre-certified to be able to manage G2G or government-to-government dollars in the not-too-distant future.
Yeah, so it's still mainly NGOs. that are delivering the services?
I would say it's a combination of international, local NGOs, as well as contracting entities, yes.
Nothing's changed, okay.
Yeah, we are CDC, other U.S. implementers there are doing some direct assistance to the Ministry of Health, and our goal with the Ministry of Health, where as you saw from our budget charts, we're putting $1 billion over 5 years, is to end up where we are in Rwanda, and I'm glad Dr. Farmer's here because he's very familiar with that. And that's really to eventually have the Ministry of Health of Haiti manage all the country's health systems, and donors would support it with a multi-donor trust fund. And we would like to do that. We had an initial goal of 2017. I don't think we're going to make it, but we are aiming to do that. The other effort there is, the government of Haiti would like more G2G, and we would like to give more G2G. So about a year and a half ago, we started an effort with them to improve their transparency and accountability, to set up accounting units in each ministry which donors are funding and supporting. And this is not just the U.S., this is all the donors, particularly the budget support donors. It's going okay. I mean, part of it is an IMF-led effort to have a single payer account, which really is 3 accounts, because the government of Haiti had over 500 bank accounts, and their way of accounting for that was nothing that would give you confidence that our tax dollars are being accounted for. And they've gotten about halfway there. We have a Treasury advisor with them that's funded by USAID. The IMF has somebody, and that's making progress, in spite of some opposition, because frankly, the people who've been stealing from the government of Haiti for years don't want to see these kinds of reforms. And the Prime Minister, to his great credit, has been calling the ministers together and telling them to get on with it. So this is progressing, but it hasn't reached a point where we can do wide-scale G2G funding. May I go to your second question?
Thank you.
Yeah, on your act, I mean, obviously, we want to give the Congress the information it needs to provide its oversight responsibilities, and Congress has been an invaluable partner in Haiti's recovery. One of the nicest things about my job, and I mean this sincerely, is the broad bipartisan support we get on Haiti in Congress. And both Beth and I frequently come up here and brief, and we really try to ensure through these briefings and reports that you get accurate, timely information about our efforts in Haiti. In addition to providing required reporting, members of my staff and I, often joined by colleagues of USAID and CDC, we talk all the time to staffers and members. We'll come up and brief at the drop of a hat. And I think you've experienced many of those briefings. Our excellent ambassador in Haiti, Pamela White, always makes it a point when she comes here for consultations. When she comes for 4 days, she'll spend 3 of them up here on Capitol Hill, briefing interested members. In our opinion, the most effective channels for keeping Congress informed are those that allow immediate feedback and the opportunity to pose questions. And so we arrange, Beth and I participate in conference calls to Hill members and staffers about every 2 months to provide updates on sort of the political and assistance situation in Haiti. And again, we're happy to come brief any time. We also really encourage visits to Haiti by members and staff. We both have gone on a number of CODELs, and I think it's very hard to understand the situation in Haiti without going down there and seeing it. It's hard to describe from here. Reports can complement briefings by capturing significant amounts of data, often in the charts and spreadsheet, and the assessing progress in Haiti will be one such document. Over the past month, teams in Washington and our embassy in Port-au-Prince have been gathering the data required on this, and we've also been working on the changes in our strategy that will be provided later. The initial report in the legislation is required by the end of this year. The strategy is a few months later next year, and we will provide that information and be glad to come brief when we do. And we hope that you find that useful in conducting your oversight operations.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate that, because sometimes we kind of lose track of where the legal requirements what we have worked on here fall within state. And so I hope that we can stay on top of this and we know exactly specifically with regard to the accountability of the implementation of the Assessing Progress in Haiti Act. And I really thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, very much for this chance to be with you.
Mr. Conyers, do you have any questions?
More than I can organize. But I just wanted to raise, first of all, compliment you on this hearing and our two witnesses. I wish I could have been here earlier. But I just made notes about the cholera vaccination program, which we're trying to get straightened out. And then, of course, I'm always thinking about the election process and housing. Between those three things, if you can give us any kind of clue on where we are on any of that, I'd be very grateful to our leadoff witnesses.
Well, perhaps I'll start with the response on the cholera question and say that much to everyone's delight, we have seen a marked and precipitous fall in the rates of infection from cholera since its height at the outbreak in 2011. In fact, now we've just for this year have had the lowest number of cholera deaths since the outbreak began at 134, which is below the 1% international standard, which would show that, in fact, the government has been able to contain the disease and manage it properly. One of the things that we did, as you know, along with CDC, which was the lead agency for the U.S. government in response to the cholera pandemic, was to stand up standalone cholera treatment centers. Those centers have since been integrated into the main clinics and hospitals as part of a package of treatment that patients get for any number of ills that they may have. And so we're really very pleased to see that although it still exists and it's going to exist, unfortunately, probably for many years to come, we're very happy that the progress that we've seen thus far has been made and seems to be sustained. In terms of the vaccine, I think our next panel may be better able to talk to that directly since Partners in Health has been in the lead in developing and testing that vaccine. As for our approach to that is simply to wait to see what the government of Haiti wants to do with that. Thus far, we're working on the prevention side of cholera as well as treatment, but so far not investing in a vaccine per se, nor have we been asked to.
Any other comments?
I think you mentioned housing. Did you? You were
Yes,
had a
sir.
question on housing. Yeah, I mean, I'll just start and then I'll let Beth finish. Even before the earthquake, Haiti had a need to properly house its population for about 500,000 new houses. As we build houses, it's about $30,000 for a house that has electricity, water, sanitation, and so forth. So you're looking at a need of $15 billion just in housing for Haiti. All the money pledged by donors through 2013, when the UN used to keep track of donor pledges, now the government of Haiti does, and they haven't issued any new reports, but is about $14 billion. So even if every single dime pledged by donors went to building housing, it wouldn't be enough, and it would leave no money for health or for job creation. So our strategy was to build houses. I think as we got into it, we realized that wasn't working as well as supporting the Haitians. And actually, if you go down there, I urge you to go to the north of Port-au-Prince to a place called Canaan, Jerusalem, which Beth mentioned, where 150,000 people are building their own houses. And the government of Haiti came to us and asked us to help get ahead of this. for planning and to make sure the houses were safe and other things. And that's the change she described in her testimony, and I'll let her perhaps add more onto that.
And could you, while you're answering that question, I'm just looking at an article here entitled USAID Houses Found to Be of Poor Quality Cost Millions to Repair. Talking about 750 houses built by USAID that were found to be in poor quality and will take millions of dollars to repair. It was part of a GAO report. Maybe you could address that as well.
Yes, I'd be happy to. In fact, we have an active investigation underway to look at that. We have been part of the review of housing as part of our end-use monitoring and have determined that some of these materials are subpar. So because these houses are still under warranty, we have called upon the builders to come back in and make the necessary repairs. We will not tolerate anything less than what we have contracted for in terms of quality and safety. We are very proud that we've been able to provide shelter solutions to almost 400,000 people through housing vouchers, through temporary shelters, through home repairs. A small part of the housing strategy is actually the building of new homes, and as Tom just mentioned, our shift to housing finance and helping individual homeowners improve and build out their own homes is going to reach vastly more numbers of people than we would be able to ever build houses for. But, you know, in terms of the houses that we do build, we take responsibility for those in terms of its quality and its sustainability and certainly its safety, and we are addressing those as we speak.
Any other questions, Mr. Conyers? Are you?
Oh, this will hold me for now.
All right.
But thanks so much.
Well, I appreciate it. If we could just go back to the elections for a second. If more Haitian legislative terms are allowed to expire in January without elections having been held, then the Haitian Parliament will be unable to meet a quorum and conduct business. What impact would that have on further disbursement of U.S. and other foreign aid?
That's an excellent question. You know, it will have an impact. Hard to give you a specific quantity, but one of the results of this political gridlock is that Parliament has passed very few laws that Haiti needs. Haiti needs a whole host of laws for land tenure. They need changes in taxation. They need to modernize business practices, adopt electronic signature laws, things like that, that just haven't happened due to this political gridlock. So really, it's the overall political gridlock that needs to be resolved. And the way you resolve disputes in a democracy is through elections. So we have been working with them to try to create a climate to have elections. This past weekend, there was, I think, a positive step in this direction where President Martelly announced the creation of a consultative commission and asked them to give him by December 9th a roadmap out of the current political standoff. The commissioners are very well-respected Haitian leaders who I think have a certain amount of confidence on both sides. There have been prior efforts. There was an El Rancho agreement. There have been a number of efforts to pass an electoral law, and they have been held up really for political reasons. Haiti, this has happened in the past where Parliament expired. In Haiti, they say Parlement caduc, means expired. When there was rule by decree under Presidents Aristide and Préval, it's not our preferred avenue. We think in a democracy it's better to have a balance of powers. So we have been urging all sides to come together and reach agreement that would open up for elections. There are some proposals on the ground, and I won't go into them, that could avoid rule by decree at least for a while and maybe permanently. And again, we very much hope all parties will bargain in good faith to achieve that goal.
This is a question on just the aid, that the disbursement of aid to Haiti. I think there are State Department and USAID figures that state that the United States has dispersed 66% of funding for Haiti from 2010, the year of the earthquake, through 2013. And so I'm just trying to understand why 1/3 of U.S. funds for Haiti have not been dispersed to date. What have been the kind of key problems in the U.S. planning and execution of programs and in fund dispersal, and what have been the biggest problems in the Haitian government's ability to design programs and absorb foreign assistance?
I'm happy to begin the answer to that question. Not all of that money was intended to be spent by now. A lot of it is tied up in infrastructure programs that take years to develop because of the due diligence and analysis that's required before one enters into something like building a new port, as an example. And so because of that due diligence, we were able to determine that in addition to the environmental issues revolving around building a greenfield port in an area that had been protected, had coral reefs that were protected, we also needed a business partner, because this was never going to work unless there was a private-public partnership with an interested company that wanted to come in and do this under a concession arrangement. We didn't have a strong enough business case that convinced the private sector that this was worth investing in. And so as a consequence, we shifted to the rehabilitation of the port, which has reduced the amount of money that we anticipate spending on infrastructure of the port. So that's just one example. Another example is in the housing sector. It took much, much longer than had been anticipated in getting access to the sites on which we built homes. There was a lot of double and even triple tenure documents as to who owned that land, and it took a long time for the government to sort out how it was going to reimburse the persons who had title to that land and then give it to us in order that we could build on it. So I would say that a large part of the backlog in resources has to do with large infrastructure programs that will only be paid for over a number of years. That, and in addition to, a lot of times it's just really hard in Haiti to get things done quickly. So it's not for a lack of effort or a lack of will, but rather just the kind of implementation delays that we see exacerbated in a place like Haiti, given the tremendous issues that they are contending with on a regular basis.
Let me just ask you, it's kind of maybe it seems like a silly question, but just something that I'd be curious to know what your response to is. It's now been 4 years since the earthquake. A lot of U.S. investment has been made. Have we prioritized the projects and initiatives in a way that you think was the right way to do it, or have we missed the boat on a few things? And let me tell you why I asked the question. The last time I was in Haiti I was there shortly after the earthquake, and then I was there 2 years ago. And what struck me 2 years ago as I was kind of driving through the country was that some of the most basic needs, the infrastructure needs, like clean water, sewer systems, all of that is related to health and well-being issues, didn't seem to be being addressed. And so I appreciate the talk about a new port and all that kind of stuff, but there are just some basic things that really need to be built in Haiti for the benefit of the people that at least 2 years ago didn't seem to be being built. And I'm just curious whether or not we have prioritized those types of projects enough, and I'd be curious to get your response.
Well, you're absolutely right that basic sanitation infrastructure is lacking in Haiti, and it's going to require billions of dollars to bring that about. So we don't have those types of resources, and therefore we're focusing in on point-of-use cleaning of water, for example, tablets, and et cetera, so that when at a household level, people who have access to water, which may not be potable, they can treat that water in order to be able to use it. But the kind of investments that are required in developing the infrastructure around what a modern infrastructure would be for delivery of clean water is something that we look to the multilateral development banks to finance, and they are interested in financing it. And I think it's the IDB that's, in fact, already putting some resources into that.
Yeah, let me just add to that. Haitians more Haitians have access to clean water now than before the earthquake. So there has been improvements in water. Sanitation has degraded, in part because of the earthquake, but other things too. The IEDB is putting pipe water in secondary cities, clean pipe water. They have a project to do that, and it's ongoing. The Spanish are very big in water and sanitation. They've had delays. They particularly do sanitation, and they had land tenure issues with a big sludge field. They thought they had clear title, and turned out it didn't. And took a while to get it sorted out there. So again, some of this is the limited capacity of the government. For example, the water company in Haiti, DINEPA, has performed admirably. But again, donors are trying to help them build up their capacity to expand their operations more globally, because it is a health issue. And so I think things are prioritized, and the priorities come from the government of Haiti. I mean, frankly, all donors work with the government of Haiti, and we don't do anything that the government of Haiti has not approved in writing, basically.
Do you think we've made any missteps over the last 4 years that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, no plan survives first contact with the enemy, and I think this is true in Haiti, and that's why we're making changes. I think the changes Beth has outlined in our strategy, which will be formalized when we submit it in February. On housing. I think, again, the Haitians are building their own houses, and we have to help them do that. That's a more effective way than us trying to build for them, because we ran into land tenure and other issues. I won't bore you with the details. We also, on the port, we want to build a new greenfield port up north. Environmental and business model didn't support that, so we've changed that strategy. We've done some changes in partnerships, but most of the strategy is still very valid in health, and I think our health strategy is good, and in other areas where we're putting a lot of money. And it's also important to realize we do coordinate extensively with other donors, particularly the World Bank, the IDB, the EU, France, Canada. And we partner with them and productively, and they're sticking with Haiti. There's still a lot of support for Haiti, not just from the U.S., but these other countries, and they're going to need it.
Yes.
If I could just add on to that, I would say another mistake, if you will, that we made is I think we were overly optimistic and overly ambitious in terms of our projection of timing that it would require to complete our strategy. We have learned that we needed to factor in the kind of delays that we've just discussed with you, and we have pushed our strategy out to 2018. So the goals that we had initially for 2016 have been pushed out by 2 years. So that's one lesson learned. The other thing I think we learned along the way is that we were probably a little too strict with ourselves. We said we were going to work in 3 corridors in 4 crop areas, as an example, in our ag program. We've realized that if we really want to build these public-private partnerships, and if we really want to attract increased investment into Haiti, we can't be so strict. We have to let the market lead us into what they're interested in investing in. And so our investments in sorghum is an example of that. So what we'd like to think of is that this strategy is flexible and adaptable to events on the ground.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and I think for those of us here in Congress, we just want to get this right and make sure that the people of Haiti are in a much better place when all is said and done. And and the reason why, again, I raise the infrastructure stuff, because a lot of the other things that we're doing is basically funding programs that could have been avoided if we had a better water and sanitation infrastructure. It's kind of those kind of big projects that seem to be really important, and I get it that they're expensive, but I'll just say one other thing that someone had told me, and I'm not sure if this is true, is that there's a concern about some of the rebuilding in Haiti, in the aftermath of the earthquake, is kind of at a substandard level. Some people claim that some of the buildings collapsed because they weren't properly constructed to begin with. I got a report from somebody that said that a lot of the new construction is equally as shoddy, which raises some questions as well. But look, we just want to get this right, and I appreciate the work you're doing, and we will remain in contact. Thank you very much. So now I'd like to welcome our next panel. I'm very pleased to welcome the members of our civil society panel today, Dr. Paul Farmer, Chief Strategist and Co-founder of Partners in Health, and Ms. Loon Viad, the Executive Director of Partners in Health in Haiti. Their work on healthcare delivery and public sector capacity building exemplifies this framework for aid delivery. And I've known Mr. Farmer's work for a long time, and I had a chance a few years back to talk to him about development models for Latin America and elsewhere. But I want to thank Paul for his leadership in the Ebola response, and we appreciate him stepping away from his critical work to testify today. We are also honored to have Lisa Davis, Human Rights Advocacy Director at Madre, whose work on gender-based violence in Haiti has brought greater attention to the needs of some of the most vulnerable populations. And I would like to formally submit the written testimonies of all the witnesses, as well as reports provided by their supporting organizations into the hearing record. And I would also like to formally submit for the record written testimony from Human Rights Watch. And I also should thank Andrew Longy and the staff of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission for helping to put all this together today. So, Dr. Farmer, if you could please begin with your testimony. The microphone is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I'd like to thank Congresswoman Lee, Congressman Conyers, Congresswoman Schakowsky, and the other solid friends of Haiti and who we've met down there so many times. I, as you know, would like to submit my written testimony and instead speak a little bit more informally and to mention some of the significant developments that are positive developments we've seen since the earthquake, and also to use the framework that you've asked me to use, which is a human rights framework. This is the Lantos Commission, and on the rare occasions that I've been invited to give testimony here in Washington, it has usually been around expanding our notion of human rights, of expanding our notion of human rights as used so often in our country. And in simple terms, the right to health and the right to health care and other basic social and economic rights are important in considering what will happen next in Haiti, what has happened before, of course. And that notion of rights is considerably more expansive than some that are often used in human rights reports. I'd just like to signal to those listening or those gathered here that it was the Haitian people who taught me the importance of basic rights to security, including food security, including freedom from want, including freedom from a really assaultive disease. An example, of course, being the one that's been discussed already, cholera or Ebola in West Africa. These rights are very important, and I'm grateful to the Haitians for being my mentors in this arena. The news on healthcare, as has been mentioned by both Mr. Adams and others here, is not bad in Haiti. It's actually quite good. There have been significant improvements, and these were on track, if not as clearly so as in Rwanda, which, as you mentioned, is a place where Partners in Health has had the good fortune to work for many years. They were nonetheless on track. And looking at American investments, it is not an accident that some of the sharpest declines in mortality were registered among people living with HIV disease. That's because of significant funding through U.S. programs like the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief and by multilateral funders like the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis, and Malaria. These are noteworthy achievements, and it's also not true that they were without effect beyond HIV. There were significant declines in under 5 mortality, reductions in maternal mortality, and improvements in many other arenas of primary health care in addition to public health. Now, of course, some of this, or a great deal of this, was reversed by the earthquake. And how could it be otherwise when such a significant fraction of Haiti's public sector health workers perished, as again was mentioned already? And when we think in terms of the right to health care, that's different, as you suggested, from the right to health. Also a very, two consummations devoutly to be wished, right? The right to health care, which involves access, ready access to health care delivery, and the right to health, which is very much more difficult, no less important, but more difficult to fund. And it involves, as you said, jobs, safe environment, and attacking problems such as gender disparity, which I'm sure we'll hear more about. Now, the right to health care, or the expansion of the healthcare platform, is in some senses easier to deliver on. And just to make that distinction, if you think about cholera, there are two kinds of freedoms that you would want. Freedom from being exposed to cholera, but also if you're sick from cholera, knowing that you would have ready access to care that could save your life. Right? On the former score, we failed, right, to protect that island from cholera. On the latter score, we failed initially. We had high rates, case fatality rates, and they are dropping. I mean, no one should die from cholera. No one should get cholera, but when they do, no one should die. And that trend has also been positive. We need to do the same around Ebola in West Africa to understand that we shouldn't be losing people. Now, to illustrate this in an order, I will say, as my colleague Lun Vio will, in order to influence the way in which these substantial resources, American resources, are deployed in Haiti, I just wanted to illustrate some basic points and then stop. And these points are about strategy and implementation in the coming months. And I'll just use one shorthand work, and I'll ask just to have a couple of images put up on the screen, if I may, on your screens. And that word is accompaniment. These are not short-term contractual approaches are not going to solve the problems that I'll be describing, which, as you said, involve major investments in infrastructure to protect health and prevent illness, but also to make sure that once people are sick, they don't perish because they have no right to health care. And this is obviously in response, sorry, I can't see it myself, but the slide just reads what never happens in emergency responses. And this is a critique of our own sort of attention deficit disorder approach to emergencies. First, we keep saying every time there is a major disaster, we need to link our emergency response to longer-term systems building, and then we fail to do it all too often. In public health jargon, this is often called health system strengthening. It's not a very sexy term, and yet it is critical for all the reasons that you and others mentioned. We also fail all too often to link our investments to building local capacity through formal training programs. And my colleague Lun Vio will be speaking about this, I know, having read her comments. And we can do that. We can insist that we link our investments. Certainly, I believe the American people should do more of this, that all of our investments are linked to building local capacity, in this case, Haitian capacity. And then finally, learning, generating new knowledge even from making mistakes. I admired the question that you asked, well, have there been mistakes made? There's always mistakes made. And learning from those and learning from successes, I think will improve the quality of what it is we're going to do. And just to ask for a next slide. Now, this, I will be we will be glad to document where these numbers come from, but in broad brush strokes, after the earthquake, almost none of the emergency response went to building local institutions of the U. And this is the point that Congresswoman Lee was asking. And there are legitimate reasons why this number would not be very large, right? You've just lost something like 27 out of 28 federal buildings in Haiti were destroyed. You've lost a very substantial number of the public servants. But I'm arguing here that that number should not be 1% of emergency aid, because we can do better by linking more of that to building Haitian institutions and building local capacity. And indeed, we'll alas get more chances to see if we can do better with the Ebola response as well, as you know. One other slide. Now, what would it look like to build local capacity? Now, in public health, that involves going through or supporting the Ministry of Health. I believe in public education is probably the same thing. And we don't have, as our the preceding panel noted, we don't have a lot of this government-to-government direct support yet, and the reasons for that were laid out. What Partners in Health chose to do after the earthquake is quite different, which is to build with and for the Ministry of Health a major teaching hospital in central Haiti. And I just will say, and again, in informal form, you'd be surprised perhaps at how much incredulity there was about this approach at the time, with many claims that this will never work, you'll never get it done, it will just slow everything down, you'll never be able to meet standards if you work so directly with the ministry, and yet, 18 months after starting what would be the largest solar-powered hospital in the developing world, it was finished to more than California-level earthquake standards. And it has already been open for 2 years. In fact, you'll hear from Loon Vio how what in medicine we call white coat ceremonies, when the new doctors, new trainees come in and receive their white coats, there were already, just counting physicians, in formal training programs, more than 40 Haitian physicians getting their first chance to train in specialties like emergency medicine. Haiti, the idea that Haiti has no emergency medicine training program after such a massive investment after the earthquake beggars the imagination a little bit. So I'm arguing in terms of Congressman Lee's bill that we think more critically about what we might do differently in terms of building local capacity and formal training programs. As far as Ebola, it's the same story. If we don't have, after the next couple of years, I know there'll be massive investments from the United States. I intend to come back here next week and argue for those investments in West Africa. But if we don't have formal credentialed programs in infection control, for example, for nurses and doctors, and better infrastructure that comes out of this, that would be a shame. And I just, next to that, by the way, is an Ebola, if you could go back one, next to, this is Mirbalais Hospital from the air. I was actually in Sierra Leone when someone sent me this photograph after picking up or dropping off a patient in the helipad. And again, people sneered sometimes at the idea of, you don't need a helipad and you don't need a 200,000 square foot hospital in the middle of central Haiti. Of course you do. They just lost all of their healthcare infrastructure. So that's an Ebola treatment unit. That's not what an Ebola treatment unit should look like either. And that's even worse than New Jersey. Next slide. Just last images. I hope these will cheer you as well. And all of you care about Haiti, and there's no one in this room who doesn't, is if there's so much human capital in Haiti, and opening up a facility like this, and this is a public facility built by Partners in Health with a lot of technical assistance and a lot of assistance also from the private sector, donations, and donations in kind, technical assistance. This is allowing the human capital that we all know is abundant in Haiti to be turned to things like healing, to nursing, medicine, laboratory diagnostics. All of this remains to be done in Haiti, and I will close with an appeal. I hope some of these resources are targeted, again, to programs that support the public sector doing its job, protecting the Haitian people from unnecessary risk or taking care of them when they're ill, that they are linked to formal training programs. I'm talking about healthcare because I'm a physician, and that they are more in the mode of long-term accompaniment than short-term contractual arrangements. There's plenty of opportunity here, and I look forward to be part of it in the coming years. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I've been asked to, when people talk about the interest in Haiti, I should let you know that over 20,000 people are watching this hearing. It's being live streamed or whatever. I think that's the right way to say it, from all around the country and maybe even other countries. So there's a great deal of interest in this. So I appreciate your testimony, and I'd like to turn over now to Loon Viud. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Chairman McGovern, and the distinguished members of the Commission for arranging this hearing. I am honored to share this very special panel with Paul and Lisa to address the current aid delivery situation and the status of the healthcare system in Haiti. I have submitted a longer testimony, so I'll be brief and allow time for questions. Next month, on January 12, 2015, we will be reflecting on the 5th anniversary of the catastrophic earthquake which changed everything in Haiti. The earthquake left many people with disabilities and mental health needs. It left thousands of children often displaced, as well as women vulnerable to violence. The road to recovery is long, but I can testify today that in the 5 years since the earthquake, progress has been made. Zame la Santé is the sister organization of Partners in Health, working in Haiti for close to 30 years. Our objective has always been to partner with the public sector to improve the public health system in Haiti. This objective has not changed after the destruction brought on by the earthquake. Rather, it became more necessary and urgent. In partnership with the Haitian Ministry of Health, Zame la Santé invests in building healthcare infrastructure. After the earthquake, at the request of Haitian authorities, Zame la Santé built l'Hôpital Universitaire de Mirebalais, the University Hospital of Mirebalais, as a public sector hospital. The state-of-the-art, like Paul was showing a slide, hospital has facilities to serve the people of the Central Plateau, one of the poorest areas of Haiti, and to train Haiti's future healthcare professionals. I am proud to announce that just a few weeks ago, we had held a white coat ceremony for 44 Haitian medical residents to be trained in emergency medicine, general surgery, pediatric, anesthesiology, and women's health. In addition to the hospital Mirebalais, we also work in 12 public medical facilities across the Central Plateau and Lower Artibonite regions. And Zame la Santé has staff numbering just over 5,000. As an organization based in human rights, we understand that realizing the right to health requires investment in all aspects of society to improve the underlying determinants of health. As the committee and Chairman McGovern, you're aware, a cholera outbreak began in October 2010 and has sickened close to 1 million Haitians and taken the lives of over 8,000 individuals. Zami La Santé is working with partners at the Ministry of Public Works, Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, and UNICEF to reduce the prevalence of cholera in the Central Plateau by increasing access to water, sanitation, hygiene, and education in primary schools, villages, and health facilities. This work constitutes part of the 10-year national plan for the elimination of cholera in Haiti and the Dominican Republic. In partnership with the government of Haiti and the communities we serve, we continue to improve the health and quality of life for millions of people and to challenge the notion of what is possible in global healthcare delivery in a developing country. We appreciate the support of USAID and are exploring other ways to work together, including collaborations for greater access to education and training. We have been successful in securing positive outcomes in Haiti. We nevertheless encounter and witness many challenges for aid delivery in Haiti, some of which I would like to enumerate here. Haitian organizations struggle to secure international funding, which can create duplication among non-governmental organizations. According to the United Nations Office of the Special Envoy for Haiti, of the $6.4 billion disbursed between 2010-2012, 0.6% was disbursed to local NGOs. It does not serve the general purpose of assisting the country in the long term because it does not contribute to improving local capacity. Our colleagues at the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Social Planning have explained to us how difficult it is for them to effectively coordinate the various donors, as many do not align their plans with the government of Haiti's priorities. Without significant long-term investment to expand water and sanitation coverage in the country, Haiti and its donors will be faced with a chronic and expensive public health crisis. The challenges faced by Haiti are not insurmountable, and they are solid models of success and lessons learned. We are counting on you, members of Congress and dear Chairman, to keep pushing for human rights-based approach to reconstruction and development in Haiti. Here are a few recommendations to consider. Continue to build on programs that support local groups and increase their capacity. In the past 30 years, we have seen a generation of Haitians who want to advocate, serve, and lead. We also have seen local organizations gain experience in responding to local needs. Funding these organizations to expand their reach while providing them with key technical assistance to improve their management skills can truly make a difference. Continue to fund programs that take a holistic approach to social and economic development. We are grateful for the long-term commitment of the US government to our health and education system building. Continue to support long-term investment that focus on an increased collaboration between the public and private sectors. At Zami La Santé, Partners in Health, we understand that we are doing only a small part of what is needed for the country in terms of human rights. And there is so much more that is needed. We are grateful to all the members of Congress who continue to call for support to Haiti. With your help, the momentum will continue so that Haiti becomes a country where all citizens benefit from not only civil and political rights, but social and economic rights as well. Thank you.
Ms. Davis?
I would like to thank the Commission for calling this very important hearing, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity to appear here today to talk about the challenges in aid delivery related to addressing gender-based violence in Haiti's development and reconstruction process, and to share some of our recommendations for supporting a rights-based approach in Haiti. Founded in 1983, MADRE is an international women's organization that supports the development of community-based women's organizations in over 25 countries. Since 1994, Madre has worked in Haiti with a broad coalition of Haitian women's organizations. And since the 2010 earthquake, we've expanded our work to include working with Haitian LGBT organizations. For victims of gender-based violence, the problems begin to arise at the earliest entry point in the criminal justice system, when reporting crimes to the police. Police officials often lack the sensitivity and the appropriate training in investigating gender-based violence crimes, which often leads to apathy and poor evidence gathering procedures. This has a grave impact on victims, as cases can be easily dismissed when taken to court. Haitian LGBT rights organizations such as FACTI, CERVI, Courage, and in partnership with international organizations including Madre, CUNY Law School, the International Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission, have documented numerous cases of police violence and misconduct committed against LGBT individuals. Rights groups explain that such experiences go unreported out of fear of police brutality and discrimination, or retaliation from perpetrators. While Haitian law does not criminalize same-sex sexual conduct between consenting adults, police often use public indecency laws to arbitrarily arrest or detain individuals based on their perceived or actual sexual orientation or gender identity. As a result, for many victims, the Haitian justice system remains highly inaccessible. As mentioned by Ms. Hogan and Mr. Adams, the deficiencies within the justice system stem from the outdated penal and criminal procedure codes. In fact, the Haitian Penal Code has not been comprehensively revised since 1835. The good news is the Ministerial Commission for the Modernization of the Penal Code and the Criminal Procedure Code, supported by USAID, drafted revisions to this code that, if approved by Parliament, would mark a landmark legislation addressing gender-based violence in Haiti. These revisions offer several key provisions, including a modernized definition of rape and specific codification of marital rape as a crime and criminalization of sexual harassment. Unfortunately, the penal code revisions are currently stalled at the executive branch and have yet to be submitted to Parliament. Without free and fair elections, and with the prospect of Parliament's dissolution on the horizon, the fate of these revisions remains to be determined, leaving thousands of victims with ineffective legal protections. The last issue I'd like to bring to your attention is the lack of access to water and sanitation, which has grave implications in light of the ongoing cholera epidemic described by my colleagues Loon and Paul. Unfortunately, Doctors Without Borders just reported last week that the current cholera caseload that they have has almost doubled over the same period in 2013. The cholera epidemic is also an accountability problem. It has been well established that the cholera was introduced to Haiti through the reckless disposal of untreated human waste at the UN stabilization base. This triggers a legal obligation for the UN to either install the infrastructure necessary to control cholera or compensate the victims or provide victims with a fair process to pursue claims against the organization. The UN has refused to comply with these legal obligations, which deeply undermines both the rule of law and the UN's own credibility while leaving the cholera epidemic uncontrolled and its victims without justice. A just response to the cholera crisis by the United Nations would not only promote the rule of law and improve the UN's credibility in Haiti, it would also provide the water and sanitation infrastructure necessary to control cholera and all waterborne disease in Haiti. Installing and operating this infrastructure offers a historic opportunity to help the Haitian government build its capacity to provide an essential public service. It also provides an opportunity to concretely reduce many burdens disproportionately carried by women and girls, especially the carrying of contaminated water over long distances and caring for the illness it generates. The concern for human rights is not a standalone issue. It is deeply woven into the fabric of all foreign aid investment, and there are practical steps the United States government can continue to take to demonstrate foreign aid leadership and assistance to those most vulnerable in Haiti. Madre recommends the following actions for consideration by this distinguished commission and the United States government to ensure the respect and protection of human rights in Haiti's path to development and reconstruction. 1, support the passage of Haiti's Penal Code's revisions. These revisions, currently stalled at the executive branch, offer hope to gender-based violence survivors that justice is possible. 2, to echo what Paul said, which is also true in the justice sector, invest in capacity-building programs that provide Haitian public officials responsible for responding to incidents of gender-based violence, including police, prosecutors, and judges, with specialized trainings. Such trainings should be conducted in consultation with experienced Haitian women and LGBT organizations that have proven track records in addressing gender-based violence. And 3, urge the United Nations to fulfill its obligations to the victims of the cholera epidemic by installing a comprehensive water and sanitation infrastructure, developing the Haitian government's capacity to manage the infrastructure, and compensating those who are injured. A Dear Colleagues letter, sponsored by Representative Conyers, is circulating in the House for signatures. This letter urges the UN Secretary General to create a fair process and to adjudicate the claims made by cholera victims. And we urge the members of this commission to consider signing on to this letter. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and I may just made a note. I'll definitely sign on to the letter if I'm not already on it. But I have a couple of questions, and a few some comments. But before I do, I want to yield to my colleague from Illinois, Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, who's arrived, for any comments or questions she may have.
Well, I really apologize. I really apologize for being late. I'm the ranking member on a subcommittee and had to be in the chair. I'm just thrilled to be here. I'm sorry that I missed the first panel. I am mostly acquainted with Partners in Health and with Paul Farmer and Loon Viode, and appreciate so much the lessons that we can learn from all of you. I did want to ask you, Paul and Loon, what the lessons that we've learned about healthcare in Haiti. How does that apply now to the Ebola outbreak? How can we do that most effectively?
Thank you, Congresswoman Schakowsky, and so good to see you. And you missed my thanks for your longstanding advocacy for our work and for health and social justice in Haiti. I think we've learned a lot from the work in Haiti, its weaknesses that Lisa and Loon and I mentioned, but also some of the strengths that could be of great relevance in responding to Ebola. One is that we, and that includes the United States government, need to target our investments along 3 levels of care, if you will: community health workers. The majority of Partners in Health, Zami La Santé's employees are community health workers. They work in the communities they serve, linking to health centers, and some of which you visited, like in Las Cobas, 2 hospitals able to provide care for those critically ill, injured in a car accident, Ebola. You know, there's a reason that after the Boston Marathon bombings, no one who made it to a hospital died, because we have an emergency medical system that goes from the field, in this case, you know, an urban setting, to either to a clinic if you're not critically ill, but in this case to a hospital that can manage those kind of cases. That's not irrelevant to Ebola at all. Community health workers can help us find people who might be sick early, so that they survive, and I believe the great majority of people who are diagnosed early and are treated properly will survive. When I say the great majority, I mean 90%. So when you hear about 90% mortality, that is basically the natural history of the disease without meaningful medical intervention. And we've got to stop that. That requires community health workers who can refer to centers. In the case of Ebola, they're being called community care centers. As long as the second C means care, that's fine, because the majority of that care could be delivered by nurses able to rehydrate patients orally, or, if necessary, with intravenous therapy, which many patients will need because they have vomiting and diarrhea. In fact, the cholera lessons learned are critical here. You know, why did case fatality go from as high as 10, 15% to 0? Early case finding with community health workers and proper care. And finally, for those who are catastrophically ill, whether from Ebola, or from Ebola, meaning most people who die from Ebola won't have Ebola. They'll have obstructed labor, but no healthcare system. They'll be hit by a car, but the healthcare systems collapse because of Ebola. So we really, really need to draw on these lessons. What we learned so painfully during the earthquake was that skipping any one of these 3 steps means somebody's either going to get there too late or have nowhere to go.
Let me ask you, how long, though, does it take when you have an emergency like this without an embedded infrastructure to set up such a situation as you're describing that could really be effective in lowering the mortality rate and addressing this immediate crisis?
I think we can do this in days, right? We can say, if you go into an Ebola treatment unit and you see someone who's monitoring the so-called doffing of personal protective equipment, right? That's taking it off and going through 30 steps. It's taken only days to train that person, right? How to do it, because it's a very specialized local people, local healthcare people, local people have been trained to help, and very often expatriate nurses and doctors to actually do this properly. So again, back to the 3 levels, we could train community health workers on the job right now, and they keep on retraining them and credentialing them. As long as we compensate their labor, we could do that now and find people earlier. And then on the level of improving the quality of care in a clinic, again, you know, if FedEx or Coca-Cola can get something somewhere in no amount of time, we can do it in healthcare. And finally, even in a tent, you know, a MASH unit hospital, you can provide critical care as long as you have the staff, the stuff, the space you need, and the systems. So I think we could link
Staff, stuff, space, system.
Staff, stuff, space, systems.
So to what extent, the important question, to what extent is this happening now?
Well, it's happening very slowly for the reasons that you, in Ebola, very slowly, but as it did in Haiti. And so the main lesson learned, of course, is that the cost of not having this system in place was very great in Haiti during the earthquake, and it is very great in West Africa. And why do we not have this system? There has not been substantial investment in the public health system, right? Liberia had the fastest growing GDP, or one of the fastest growing GDPs in the world 3 years ago, but has a very little of the foreign aid is going through the Liberian Ministry of Health, including our own. And, you know, you could argue that it's a little bit, you know, it's not a smart thing to do in the middle of an emergency, but surely we could, you know, do better than we did in Haiti right after the earthquake in terms of moving resources through that public sector and strengthening the Ministry of Health.
And can I follow up on? I wanted to ask you, Loon Viod, I saw in the charts that was part of Paul's testimony, 0.9% of the aid money has gone to the government sector, and I think it really backs up what we were hearing from Ms. Davis in the sense that investing in the public sector, not just health, but in the justice system. And I mean, aren't we just asking for the next crisis to, you know, be bad if we don't leave something behind and create an infrastructure? And let me go for a little deeper. Is this typical, do you know, of the kind of assistance that we give to other countries, that such a tiny percent actually goes to the government of that country? Is it more unique to Haiti? And what accounts for that? The fact that such a tiny percent goes to the government itself.
We are. Thank you. We're asking the same question. Why? Why is that this tiny percent of going directly to the government? I'm not familiar with other countries, so I don't know if it's the I don't know if Paula is aware
This is
or
typical,
Lisa, if other countries have the same situation.
Can I, Lisa, if I could just say one thing, and maybe you know more about I'm sure you know more about the legal and justice systems. This is an exceptionally low amount, and USAID Forward, as you know, is designed to move a little bit away from that model of bypassing, the public sector institutions and towards contractors, and to build it's actually, I should say it without conditionality, USAID Forward is designed to move away from that model of using contractors that do not leave the kind of, infrastructural or human resource development changes that you want. Liberia is down on that level as well, right? But Rwanda is not like that at all. And you could say why. Part of it is really been due to advocacy, aggressive advocacy in the good sense. We say aggressive in medicine, meaning aggressive medical care is good, but robust advocacy from the government of Rwanda saying, this is the way we want to, we appreciate your support, we appreciate the aid, but it needs to strengthen Rwandan institutions. They were very firm on this after having hit rock bottom after 1994. They thought, well, it can't get any worse, and we've seen how aid can have, perverse outcomes as well, and so they really pushed this forward. But I think we can do that. I mean, you can do this, the Congress.
But what you said, does that suggest that the government of Haiti itself has not been aggressive enough in asking, or doesn't have capacity?
Yeah, I would say there's both parts of that. They haven't been aggressive enough, in part because there's been so much turnover, right? There's, a coup in 1991, a coup in 2004, slow motion coup, as you remember, having invited me up here to talk about it. That means major disruptions in the public infrastructure as well, of course, right? And then the earthquake, another catastrophic, almost apocalyptic disruption. So Rwanda had that, in 1994, and took them quite some time to recover the ability to be, even if they had wanted to, the pre-genocide government did not want to. They wanted to, but it took them some time to develop that capacity. And it's this sort of circular argument, right? And Lisa mentioned it around justice. You say, well, the institutions are so weak that we can't invest in them. And then, of course, the institutions are weak because we don't invest in them. And so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I think we can turn that around. Let's find a way with the bill coming up, Congresswoman Lee's bill, to say we will mandate that our strategy involve the strengthening of Haitian institutions and the strengthening of Haitian human capital through formal training programs. You can see that whether you're looking at Loon's testimony or Lisa's, we're all talking about that. And it's not like we got together this week in Sierra Leone and worked out it's that we believe that, and we believe it can change.
But I would just piggyback off of that to say that there is an issue of a lack of capacity and a lack of will, especially when taking a rights-based approach. But there are also programs within the government that are struggling to do good. For example, the Women's Ministry opened up 3 centers in 3 different cities to serve women in host trainings. And the Women's Ministry is the least funded ministry in Haiti. There's a specialized unit to deal with responding to gender-based violence that has no money to operate, even though the head of that unit desperately wants to be able to run it and manage it and make it move forward. So there are certainly individuals and units within the government that are also trying to push forward with a lot of great solutions that just don't have the support that they need and deserve in order to see their programs flourish. And to that, I would say we really need to work on building the capacity of civil society organizations that are local, because they have the expertise and the network to know how to navigate some of those systems that are a little bit more difficult, taking a more broad-based perspective. And certainly there is a role for international NGOs, and which has to be looked at in terms of their experience and expertise in working in country, and how much of the funding that they receive goes to building local capacity and not just coming back out of the country. And there are NGOs that are international that are very good at it and ones that are not very good at it when you really look at how the numbers shake out. And yes, part of that is capacity of how you can spend it in country, but part of that's just not being networked with the right civil society organizations who are really on the front lines of all of these issues, whether they're women's issues or LGBT issues or working on cholera. And those are the groups that we really need to be supporting.
So let me just make two comments. One, if my International VAWA, International Violence Against Women Act, were to pass, might be able to help along those lines to address the problem that is the subject of this hearing today. And the other thing is I want to congratulate Partners in Health for your approach of all of the hospitals and the institutions that you create in Haiti do become part of the public health system. So it's an example, really, of how an NGO without different funding can itself also contribute to capacity building within a country, and I thank you very much for that. I yield back. Thank you.
I don't want to prolong this much longer because I know you all have schedules, but I just have a couple of things I just wanted to say. Paul, I appreciate your story, and I'm not sure I get this right, about the solar-powered, earthquake-resistant public training hospital. You know, the international community pledged over $23 billion in Haiti since the earthquake, although I'm not sure how much of it actually has been spent. That's a lot of money. But as you testified, the lives, situations, and capacity of the majority of Haitian people have not benefited to the degree that those figures would imply. And you know, and this also probably is a question for Loon as well. What is the most important piece of advice or guidance that you want to make? You want to make sure that the U.S. incorporates into its 3-year strategy? What are the most important? What's the most important thing that is our State Department and USAID kind of look to the next 3 years? What is the most important piece that needs to be incorporated in that strategy?
Thank you. We made some recommendations, writing recommendations, but it's invest in the public sector, public-private partnership. That's the most, for me, it's critical to do that.
And another way of putting the same message, you know, because we're not arguing. None of the three of us are arguing that, you know, we don't need to have a robust civil society. On the contrary, I think we've made that case. But we need to learn how to strengthen Haitian institutions, and in public health and public education and criminal justice. Those are public institutions. NGOs have a very hard time doing this. It is not in the interest sometimes of contractors to do it, but for the NGOs, including long-term NGOs, including Haitian NGOs, we have to cultivate, I believe, within ourselves a commitment to seeing an end to extreme poverty in Haiti, and that is not going to happen without, as Loon just said, going through that avenue of finding a way. Like in your home district, you know people who are doing valiant work in Haiti, and they probably are not thinking, how can we strengthen the local community or the local district health commissioner's office? And that's okay. Right. But I don't think the State Department can afford to do that, and I don't think a large NGO like Partners in Health can afford to do that. So translated into policy recommendations, if this bill links the disbursement of these substantial resources to real local capacity building, meaning, and that doesn't mean weekend training the trainers type. Right. You know, that's what the money usually goes for. You don't learn how to be an infection control nurse or a lawyer or a surgeon in a weekend workshop. You know, you learn on the job by learning how to deliver care or learning how to defend, you know, a client. And we need, I believe you can insist that we link this somehow. And then finally, public sector strengthening can be a great outcome for private investment, for an NGO, a non-governmental organization by definition is not the public sector. And we'd like to be supported more. We believe in our work, but we won't do it leaving behind the Haitian institutions that could protect the health of the Haitian people. From sanitation to public health and public education, we've made that mistake in Haiti over the last many decades, and weak Haitian institutions, you could say, are not our responsibility, but you could also say we haven't contributed to building them and strengthening them enough. At least that's how we feel, and we'd like to continue moving in that direction, as Congresswoman Schakowsky said.
And I would just add that what Congress can also do is pass the VAWA Act, because it's critical. It's absolutely critical.
Just out of curiosity, that the solar paneled earthquake-resistant hospital, how much of an investment was that? How much?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that, because I forgot to say that it was a 200,000 square foot hospital. It was $21 million, which is a very, very low cost. Now, that's thanks to some people in your home state as well, not talking just about Partners in Health, but people like Jim and Sarah from Shawmut Construction, who brought in tradespeople skilled tradespeople from across the country, but particularly from Massachusetts, carpenters, master electricians, et cetera. Then we had a number of major tech companies help with building the IT backbone that connects that hospital in central Haiti and the CAT scanner, the first CAT scan in a public hospital in Haiti. That's ridiculous. It's connected, another Massachusetts company, it's connected to the teaching hospitals at Harvard, the Brigham Women's Hospital and Mass General. So you can read, if you don't have a radiologist, first of all, we should be training them. But if there isn't one in Haiti, you know, the electronic medical record, you can look at it, I could look at it at my hospital, the Brigham. So that cost is low in part because of substantial in-kind contributions, but it was also, it built local capacity in the trades. So the construction capacity in central Haiti is really very high now, you know, and that was because this hospital became a teaching hospital even as it was going up.
What about Chicago?
Yes, Chicago. I'll just.
Yeah, oh, excuse me, now I missed my chance, I'm going to get in trouble, so may the record reflect that I don't know why I was focusing on Massachusetts so much, probably because I'm absent. The project lead is from Skokie, Dr. David Walton, and from the beginning, just even before the earthquake, the idea was that we would have, because of Congresswoman Schakowsky, a formal sister relationship between Chicago and Central Haiti.
That's enough, thank you.
No, but I just want to say that the act can draw on that kind of reciprocity. That's what I mean by accompaniment. We didn't say to our colleagues in either Chicago or Massachusetts, you know, here's your contract, here's the beginning, here's the end. It's like, we need you to walk with us, and the Haitian people, as they leave extreme poverty behind, but also grotesque medical poverty. Right. And that takes years.
I'll just add that the land for the hospital Mimbale was donated by the community, and also the government of Haiti
Largest donor.
Yeah, was our largest donor, $8 million for the first year of operation.
No, and the reason why it is so impressive is because it is lasting. And it's not just about fixing a problem for a week, it's about fixing a problem for forever. And I mean, that's when we talk about capacity and sustainability. I do a lot of work on hunger and nutrition issues, and you know, and you know, we're always out there trying to make sure we fund emergency response efforts to make sure people have enough to eat when there's droughts, or, and that's all we have a moral obligation to do that. But at the same time, we ought to be working with those countries to figure out ways that they can survive droughts, that they can survive natural disasters, so that it's not constant emergencies. And I agree with you. You know, my view is when we talk about human rights, and that's why we're doing this hearing today. It is, you know, it encompasses a whole bunch of things, including the right to health. Franklin Roosevelt talked about the, you know, to be, you know, the free of want. you know, that everybody ought to have access to food, as well as rights in a judicial system and basic human rights and dignity. So it's a whole bunch of things, and I think that and maybe it kind of my last question, I guess, would be to kind of all of you is, I mean, tell me how easy or difficult it is to work with the U.S. government, the embassy. I mean, Ms. Davis, and some of the issues that you work with. I mean, do we have a human rights person that works with you on the ground in Haiti, or you know, I mean, are they responsive? Are you getting the kind of response that you need here in Washington? And the same for Loon and Paul. Is you know, are we? Is it more difficult than it needs to be? You know, and how can we make this a stronger and more effective relationship?
I think actually the embassy in Haiti has been very responsive and have always kept their doors open, especially when there's been human rights violations, and proactive in coordinating response strategies to that, and that's been very welcomed. In terms of coordinated donor efforts, what would be great is to see more of a continuation of the type of funding that's happened in the past, so that it's not just trainings that are being funded in silos or one-offs that are happening sporadically, and that there's more of a comprehensive approach to capacity building and trainings that really looks at getting into the deeper issues around human rights or gender rights. And then when looking at the organizations that you fund, making sure there really is a focus on building the civil society capacity and the public sector, and identifying carefully the members of the public sector who are in a position and are really willing to build a rights-based foundation in the work that they're doing in their sectors. And you have a great model right here in terms of the international and local type of collaboration with Partners in Health and Zami La Sante, where you have organizations that have a historic background of working in the country and a partner organization collaboration, and that kind of model works in terms of seeing results more than organizations that may not have a history of working in the country.
I appreciate that. And by the way, my staff just texted me I'm on that letter already.
Great.
So I just wanted to make sure you knew. Yeah, Janice too. So we're.
Great.
But I appreciate that. And again, let me ask Paul and Loon. I mean,
And
and the reason why I asked this question is not to
No, it's a great question.
but just so that we know what we're advocating for. That's
It also allows us, again, as Lisa pointed out, this sister organization relationship is by design, right? So Partners in Health is not in charge of Zami La Sante, you know, and that was 30 years. Trying to do it that way for reasons that Lisa has just laid out. But it also gives me a chance, your question gives us a chance to say, you know, when Congresswoman Schakowsky came to Haiti in 2002 to honor Loon, actually, because the Robert F. Kennedy Foundation and our friend Monica Alvarez here today for her strong support of human rights, especially health as a human right. Congresswoman Schakowsky came down. And I can tell you, we had very little in the way of support from USAID at that time, which scandalized some of our, visitors from Congress. Now, that could have been our fault, right, that we didn't try enough. And today, our colleagues from USAID, the health arena, are here in the audience. We work with them every week and every day, and we've built up a portfolio of programs that was sped up, and it is true, by PEPFAR, which I've praised many times before. That's the largest U.S. health investment ever in human history, in U.S. history, and probably ever in human history. One thing I think that, so I'm in I'm in a position to say I appreciate, and especially appreciate, our friends in Congress who said, you should be receiving some of this assistance, and we will help connect you to it. And one of the things that could make this easier with the bill, I think, is to understand that organizations like Zami La Sante do not have the administrative apparatus, which is huge and unwieldy, that is required, don't often in any case, required to access these funds. And that would be one thing if the alternative to a local NGO or a transnational NGO meant that they were equally committed to local capacity building and to building up public sector capacity in Haitian institutions. I don't think they are, as I've argued in Congress before. I don't think they're equally committed, and that the rules of the road should be changed by you so that it becomes more difficult to receive this support when you're not supporting local institutions and building local capacity. And that may require this bill and this Congress to find more ways of building that administrative capacity, as Loon said in her comment speaking of management.
I'll just add that it is getting better in terms of working with USAID, and we have a few projects, a few champions, a few projects, and with the hospital in University Hospital in Miambale, they're helping us with the financing, the costing, and in disabilities and water and sanitation. We have a few projects with them.
Well, the noise you just heard a little while ago were votes. So this is probably a good time to conclude this. Let me just say to all three of you, and I think I speak for Jan and everybody else on the commission, that we're really proud of the work that you do, and we're anxious to be supportive. And this has been a very informative hearing and on a very important subject. And I think we have to make sure we get this right. And the people of Haiti, after all they've been through, deserve to get it right. And so we look forward to working with you and collaboration on many projects. So thank you very much.
Thank you.